Welcome to qualifying here at the Shanghai International Circuit in China. This 5.45 kilometre track is going to provide us with some thrilling twists and turns within the next hour. One of the big changes on this year's grid is Fernando Alonso, who's left Ferrari and is now back with McLaren.
Many people would never have thought Fernando would go back to McLaren after the volatile year he spent there in 2007. But back he is, and he'll be wanting to make the most of their renewed partnership with Honda.
Hello there guys, and welcome back to the Championship Season Mode with Sergio Perez. You can see we're here for round 3 in China at the Shanghai International Circuit, once again in Q1 using the prime tyres to try and save a set of options for possibly later on in qualifying in the race. As we come across the line for our only lap in Q1 compared to what we did in Malaysia, we actually set a time that was good enough for 6th fastest, which was just over a second slower than what the fastest time was set by Lewis Hamilton there. We're also quicker than Max Verstappen in the Toro Rosso and our teammate Nico Hülkenberg, who both used the option tyres. So we've got a bit of a pace advantage over our teammate there, which is very good to see. And down at the bottom, once again, Kvyat missing out in Q1. So it seems to be a recurring trend there, along with the Sauber Felipe Nasr, and also a surprise, Romain Grosjean in the Lotus qualifying all the way down in 18th. And as well with the two Manners also missing out, who were expected not to make Q2. We're now into Q2 to start our only lap we've actually set in Q2 with the option tyres. I had a good feeling about this lap compared with what we did on the prime tyres, because I think the prime tyre lap I did in Q1 was really a warm-up, because I hadn't really raced around China very recently until now, so it's good to get that experience back, get to know the circuit once again. As we come across the line to set the fastest time according to the timing screws, actually maintained that fast time. As you can see there, we're able to retain that fastest lap throughout the whole of Q2. As you can see there, Hülkenberg made it into Q3 along with us, but also surprisingly the McLaren of Fernando Alonso somehow made it into Q3 despite the Honda power, and also considering the fact that the circuit has got quite a few long straights. So as you can see there, Verstappen missing out in Q2, missing out on Q3, and also the Red Bull of Daniel Ricciardo. So it's been a very poor qualifying session for Red Bull there. And as we come into Q3, we actually had a bit of a quote incident before our start of our lap. Had to get out of the way of a couple of cars by going off the circuit prior to the start of our lap, which kind of hindered us a little bit, but I don't think it really affected us too much. But this might have affected us. We hit the bollard as we come out the final corner, which kind of compromised the speed as we come across the start-finish line. But hopefully that doesn't really affect us too much compared with everyone else that's running in Q3. We've got Rosberg that's just in front of us, so hopefully he doesn't hinder us too badly on his lap. As we come across the line just for the only lap we set in Q3, we actually go second, about 6/10 off the eventual poleman Nico Rosberg, which actually I'll take, to be honest. It's a front row start compared with what we had in Malaysia, which was a 3rd place start, so I'll take that again. It's a very good result for us.
Fantastic qualifying result from Nico Rosberg, and a performance which should see him targeting now a race win tomorrow.
Well, both these drivers have been working hard with the team to ensure they get maximum performance out of the car, and it looks like they've found the right combination, at least in qualifying trim. Now, we need to see how they get on in the race.
Couple of interesting results here in qualifying. Lewis Hamilton once again having a poor qualifying session all the way down to 7th place, and also Kimi Raikkonen all the way down in 9th, with Bottas in just ahead of him in 8th. And somehow Fernando Alonso's got that McLaren in 5th place, with Ericsson in the Sauber in 6th. So Hamilton, Bottas and Raikkonen are going to have to come through those two midfield cars in order for them to challenge myself, Rosberg and Vettel, who seem to be the main contenders for the race win tomorrow.
It's nearly 3 o'clock on Sunday afternoon here in Shanghai, and that means only one thing. It's time for the Chinese Grand Prix. Nico Rosberg will want his good fortune to continue on from yesterday's qualifying. He starts the race in P1 and has even said he's expecting to take the checkered flag first. You wouldn't want to bet against him doing just that.
He has clean air in front of him, so we'll be hoping he can create a gap over the first few laps. If the cars in 2nd and 3rd can keep close until the first round of pit stops, then they may be able to take advantage on the undercut.
Felipe Massa looks to have the edge over Valtteri Bottas this weekend. He'll be hoping to cement that by finishing ahead of his teammate in today's race.
Felipe has been looking quick this weekend, and if he can carry that into today's race, he could be on for a good result. As for Valtteri, he wasn't looking comfortable with his setup yesterday, and we'll hope it works better for him over the long stints today.
Alright, let's have a quick look at the race strategy for today. It's going to be very similar to what we've done in the past couple of races, where we're going to be doing 2 or 3 stints on the option tyres and then 1 final stint on the prime tyres to ensure that we use both types of compound during the race. I thought about going on to the primes a bit later on, or earlier on stop 2, but I think we need to, in order for us to compete with the guys around us, we need to match them in terms of the actual strategy. So I decided not to deviate from that, so I'm going to stick with the 3 stop that's been recommended by the engineers. Lights out, and away we go in China. We've got a very good start off the line, covering off any attack from the second row of the grid from Vettel and Massa. Rosberg seems to have had a good start as well, maintaining first position. But as you can see, we take a very sneaky opportunity up the inside into turn 1, into the second part of turn 1, going into turn 2 now. We've actually managed to take the lead of Rosberg, and now he's having to fend off the challenge of Massa, who's had a pretty good start after the initial getaway. This is on board, this is actually the actual replay of the start. You can see Rosberg gets a very good start off the line, but then he just leaves the door open for the second part of the corner. Don't know why he's doing that all of a sudden, but that then compromises him for turn 2 as we go on board with Massa, and he'll get a very good view of us going up the inside into the second part of turn 1. As you can see, he got a very good start getting past Vettel for 3rd place, and then as you can see, we've got ourselves getting past Rosberg, and then Vasser's then got the more grippier side of the track on the outside of turn 2, as Rosberg was compromised on the inside, and he had an opportunity to take 2nd place from Rosberg, but Rosberg was able to fend him off as we headed into the 2nd sector. On board now with Lewis Hamilton. As you see, he had a pretty decent start, but then got held by Alonso, the McLaren of Alonso, who's, as I mentioned before, for some reason is so far up the grid, and that compromised Hamilton and allowed the Sauber of Ericsson, who Hamilton managed to pass on the initial getaway, to have a little ding-dong battle with the Mercedes, but Hamilton was able to fend him off going into the next corner, and I'm pretty sure he'll be getting past Alonso very, very soon as we come on to start lap number 2. Rosberg is only just under 3/10 behind it, so he looks like he's managed to cut the gap down from the initial start of the race, where he was fighting off Massa. Now that he's not fighting anybody, he's now managed to get into gear, and he's able to challenge us. As you can see, he's going to try and go around the outside at the end of lap 2 in the heavy braking area after the long 1 kilometer straight down on this circuit, but we were able to hold it up the inside. He tried to go around the outside, but we were able to hold the inside line and ensure that we maintain our position. And as we come on to lap 4, this is quite a recurring theme here. This time Rosberg has got DRS in operation as he goes up around the outside once again, like he did 2 laps previously. As you can see, there's a bit of a train of cars behind us along with Rosberg, with Massa, Vettel, and also Hamilton is actually managed to join the party after getting past Ericsson and also Alonso. We had to cut the corner there on the final corner to avoid any contact with Rosberg, and now that seems to have compromised Rosberg on the start-finish straight. As you can see here, Massa's right up inside the Mercedes gearbox here. He could possibly make a move for 2nd place and try and make the move stick, unlike he did at the start of the race. He's going up the inside right now into turn 1. It's going to be very close between the 2 drivers. So you see, we skipped a little bit of the replay because it wasn't that interesting. This is the interesting part here. He's on the outside into turn 2, and then for some reason Rosberg actually slows down on the exit of the corner. That allows Massa to take the 2nd place away from Rosberg, and that gives a little bit of a breathing space actually on the next lap, as Rosberg was having to waste time trying to get past Massa once again up the inside into the hairpin. Massa was able to hold it up around the outside and then had the inside for the final corner, like we managed to do on the previous lap. We were able to maintain the lead. This time Massa was able to maintain 2nd. And on board with Hamilton, he actually goes into the pits here. He's actually going to see if he can try and make use of an undercut to try and jump those set of cars that are battling for 2nd place. So as we cut to the end of lap 6, this is actually 1 lap later after Hamilton has pitted. We've actually come into the pits along with Nico Rosberg, and also Vettel has come in. Massa has stayed out though for Williams, but his teammate Bottas, who's just a little bit further back, has also come into the pits. As we come in for our first pit stop, let's hope it's a good one. Yep, looks like it is, because we haven't really been held by anybody. It looks like Rosberg may have been slightly held by the Williams that was coming in of Bottas when he came in for his pit stop, but didn't really affect it. That's given us a little bit of an advantage as we come out in 10th place ahead of Hamilton, so that's absolutely crucial. So it looks like we still will be able to maintain the lead of the race once everyone makes the pit stop. So we've got a couple of cars we're going to have to try and overtake here because they're both on prime tyres. They're trying to make their stint last a little longer. It's the Toro Rosso of Carlos Sainz and the Lotus of Pastor Maldonado. We're going to go round the outside and take the inside line for the sweeping left and right-handers, getting past Sainz for 9th, and then go up the inside into turn 9, past Maldonado. Very similar to how we've overtook Maldonado and Sutil all the way back on the Jules Bianchi tribute career mode, if you guys remember from last year. So we've now got a barrier between ourselves and the Mercedes of Hamilton and Rosberg and every other car. As you can see here, this is the following lap. Look how many cars there are tucked behind Maldonado. And that allowed us to build the gap a little bit over those sets of cars, the 2 Mercedes, the 2 Ferraris and the 2 Williams. As you can see, at the middle of lap 9, the gap is around 7 seconds, which is very good for us. I think that's going to definitely allow us to maintain position at the end of the second round of pit stops. Not sure about the third round because I'm pretty sure these 2 Mercedes will reduce the gap as the race goes on. And my theory is proven correct as we come on to lap 12. The gap has been decreased. It's now around 3 seconds, but I'm also showing this clip because also the Mercedes actually swapped positions because Hamilton managed to get in front of Rosberg at the first round of pit stops, so the undercut actually worked for Lewis overall. But Rosberg, with the seems to have a lot more engine power plus the DRS up the inside of his teammate to take second place back, and now he is the major threat once again. As you can see on lap 13, it's now time for our second round of pit stops. So myself and Rosberg are both coming into the pits. He's much closer than what he was the previous time, so there is the possibility that he could jump us in the pit stop. Let's hope that's not the case though, and we try and maintain position. So it looks like it's another good pit stop by the team, and we've managed to stay ahead of Rosberg there. That's very good for us. We're still in our net first position as we come out of the pits. As you can see, Hamilton's actually accelerating down the pit straight right now. It looks like he's managed to jump Rosberg once again in the pit stop. So the undercut has worked to perfection for Hamilton, but not really helping Rosberg out that much, to be honest. So we're going to be under pressure though from the 2 Mercedes. As you can see, Hamilton is right on our tail as we come on to the back straights of lap 15. As you see, Hamilton's up trying to go around the outside with the DRS, but like with Rosberg, we're going to hold it down the inside, force him to go the long way around, and then force him out wide to allow us to maintain the first position. And as we come on to lap 17, Hamilton wasn't close enough the previous lap, but he's once again got a little bit more, using a bit more engine power. I think he's using rich fuel mix once again to try and go around the outside. We've once again forcing him to go to the left hand side of the track, which will compromise him on the exit of the corner, and hopefully allow us to maintain first position, which we have done so as we come into the final corner now. As you can see, we're still in first place with about 11 to 12 laps remaining of the race. Coming on to lap 18 is another opportunity for Hamilton. He's going to try and go round the outside once again. We once again go to the right hand side to ensure he has to go round the outside. We break a little bit earlier for the corner compared to him to ensure we actually make the corner and force Hamilton wide off the apex, which then compromises his exit, and therefore he's now possibly under attack from his teammate who's actually also joined the party. As you can see, we cut to Rosberg's perspective. As you can see, Rosberg's trying to go around the outside on the final corner, and he will also have DRS on his teammate. It looks like he's going to try and overtake his teammate once again down the finish straight into turn 1, and it looks like he might have made the move stick once again. Yes, he has. He's managed to take second place again, and he's once again the main threat. And as we cut onto lap 20, this is actually our final pit stop lap. Rosberg is once again right on our tail. Hamilton has made his pit stop already on the previous leg as before, so it's once again going to be very close between myself, Rosberg, and Hamilton, who is out there on fresh tyres. And unfortunately for us, Rosberg has managed to jump us in the pit stops. That's not very good for us. We were unfortunately held as the Mercedes was coming down the pit exit. As you can see, Hamilton's actually managed to jump us as well. So it looks like the race went out of our hands. But look at this. We've gone up the inside of both Mercedes going to the second part of turn 1. We've managed to overtake them both. So all the hard work that Mercedes tried to jump us in the pit stops has been undone, and they're going to have to do it on circuit. As you see, we're on board with Hamilton. Look how much he's getting held by Rosberg, and that allows us to jump both him and Rosberg during that corner. As you can see, this is on board with Rosberg. Look how slow he's going, and then he just goes to the left to give myself and Hamilton the space around the inside, inside of the corner. So Mercedes is going to have to do this on track. Rosberg's gone from first to possibly winning his third race in a row down to third. As we come into sector 1, we've actually managed to get past the manner of Roberto Meri, who's actually doing a very good job giving us a little bit of a barrier between myself and the two Mercedes, which allowed me to stay ahead of them for at least one more lap. But on lap 23, Hamilton then tries to go around the outside into the hairpin, but we're once again going to cover the inside line, have a tight entry to the corner to ensure we maintain position and keep the car ahead of the Mercedes. And I think it's a couple of laps later, Rosberg then overtakes Hamilton for the third time down the start finish straight into turn number 1, and once again he is the major threat to the race win to us as we come on to lap 26 with 3 laps remaining. Rosberg's going to try and go around the outside once again. He's tried this several times. He's going to try again. We break a little bit later than Rosberg, and actually that compromises our exit on the exit of the corner, and now Rosberg's actually got a little bit of a lead on us as we go into the final corner, but we've got the inside line like we did on the earlier on in the race into the final corner, and we've managed to maintain the lead, take the lead back, and that has massively compromised both Mercedes as well as we're on board with Vettel. Vettel gets a massive run on both Hamilton and Rosberg, and Rosberg hasn't got DRS as he was ahead of me prior to the DRS detection point on the start finish straight, and he's surrounded by both Vettel and Hamilton down into turn 1. So from going from first to challenging for the lead of the race, he's dropped down to 4th behind his teammate and the Ferrari of Vettel. As we come on to the final lap, we've exited the hairpin. We're heading up towards the final corner now. It's still very close between the top 4, but it looks like we are going to take our very first win in the championship season mode. As we come across the line now, it is a win for Sergio Perez and Force India.
That's it for today's Grand Prix, and from Ant and I, it's goodbye and see you again next time.
So confirmation of today's results, you can see there, Perez in first win for him and first for Force India, Hamilton in second, Vettel in third, Rosberg in fourth, Kimi Raikkonen having a very good strong drive, coming back from a 9th place start on the grid to finish in 5th ahead of his Finnish counterpart Valtteri Bottas. The two Red Bulls finishing in 7th and 8th after poor qualifying on the during qualifying, failing to get into Q3. Verstappen finishing in 9th, and Mass having a disappointing race in the end, finishing all the way down in 10th by making 4 pit stops after having a great start to the race. As you see further down the leaderboard, we've got Hulkenberg down in 14th, and the only retirement of the race was Marcus Ericsson in the Sauber. Now if we actually cut to the Drivers' Championship, there's a little bit of a change, but as you can see at the top, we've managed to cut the gap to 4 points, jumping ahead of Hamilton in the standings and cutting the gap to Rosberg to 4 points. Vettel moves ahead of his teammate Raikkonen, with Raikkonen maintaining 5th place and Daniel Ricciardo dropping down to 6th, with Bottas and Verstappen moving into the top 10 following their two strong performances. And as we cut to the Constructors' Championship, there's not much change in the actual positions themselves, but the only change there is Toro Rosso moving ahead of McLaren and Honda for 6th place, and actually the gap between Ferrari and Force India closing up due to our win today. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode of the Championship Season Mode. If you did, please like, comment and subscribe for more. And I'll see you for the next round of the Championship Season Mode, and it is the final event before the start of the European season taking place in Bahrain. Until then, see you later.